welcome everyone. Today we've got Andrew Henwood with us, who's founder of Black Rhino, and we're going to be talking about PCI version 4. But before we get into that, Andrew, we're going to talk a bit about your background. We've known each other for over 15 years, so maybe we can start there.
Yeah, so look, I've been in security for a fairly long time, and I got drawn into this whole world of payment security where I was quite blown away, where Visa were telling me their aspirations of building out a global cybersecurity framework. You know, all the card brands got together, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Diners, and Discover in those days. They all got together and said, listen, we've got to do something. Payment security is a reality. We're seeing lots of losses, and we've got to do something about that. And that was when literally the PCI Security Standards Council was formed, who then took over all of these discrete compliance programs, bringing in the MasterCard SDP program and the various other guises into one holistic standard, which we have now grown to know and love as the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards, the grandfather of all the standards, PCI DSS as we know it colloquially.
Love, I think, is a strong word, maybe, for some people. Tell me a bit about version 4, and is it a milestone change, do you think? Is that why a lot of people are now talking about it?
I think the majority of the changes that have been brought in are largely to do with the evolving threats. I actually don't feel there are any groundbreaking surprises that have come out that should concern folks out there. Well, maybe concern is the wrong word because I'm on the other side of the fence. If I looked at this standard objectively, the fact that it hasn't had a major update in so long, I think it was definitely due an update. The big thing that I felt was always lacking with version 3 of the standard is there was less focus on the concept of real-time compliance, of real-time security. A lot of people view PCI as a milestone we do once per year.
Yeah.
Once per year, the assessor comes in. I've got to get all my evidence together. Everyone's running around like headless chickens. And once we get our compliance certificate, everyone breathes a sigh of relief, and we all down tools and get on with our day jobs. And I think that's just a terrible approach. And I've never liked that. If you're having to do so much work before your assessor comes in on a renewal, I really kind of feel you're doing security wrong. I think that's a big, strong statement there. But one of the big things that version 4 brings to the front is this concept of trying to maintain continuous security, making sure that you're gathering evidence throughout the period, and that's quite a big concept change. And for some people, it may be onerous. I hope it's not, because it shouldn't be, because you should be wanting to take care of your stuff all of the time. And then the other big changes are really around technology. We know there's been a proliferation of cloud. How do we manage cloud? Internet of Things, mobile is ubiquitous. So those kinds of things have been brought in and filtered into version 4 of the standard. And again, should they not be there? Like, absolutely not. The standard has to evolve. The threats have changed, and we have all this new technology to contend with. So I think that had to come in. I would have been bitterly disappointed if it didn't, because it would raise question marks about the potential for the standard to continue in the modern age with all these additions. And then never mind, again, I'm harping on about the way the attacks have changed over the last 3-4 years. We still know that email is the easiest way directly into an organization's heart. So one of the big threats that's discussed extensively in this new version of the standard is things like phishing, social engineering, reinforcing the importance of multi-factor authentication. These things are very real threats, probably the biggest threats we're facing in the online world today. And we're still using email as probably the most prolific communication mechanism out there. Email was never built to be inherently secure from the outset with, transferring all this sensitive information. So we have to adapt. And again, I'm going to push back. That's what version 4 is starting to address. It's looking at those things. So I think, it's evolved in the right way. I firmly do believe. Having said that all, because of these evolving threats, I think it's a very fair statement to say that version 4 is more onerous. there are more aspects to it. It's a bigger standard. More effort will be required to go through compliance. And I like what you said. If you're only waking up to PCI version 4.0 now, and you're not in the midst of achieving compliance, because you have a window now till end of this month to achieve compliance in the old version. If you've not started doing any of that, I really encourage you to go and start doing some research now, because it will be a big task. There are a handful of organizations who have attested compliance to version 4.0 already, because you can voluntarily. But if you've not started that work, definitely start preparing now.